Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about maintaining a healthy life. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi brother, can you please make a video on maintaining a healthy life as a developer and how did you maintain that life? Well, now we're straddling the line a little bit here because well, the for me, like, being a healthy software developer, having a healthy life as a software developer, that's like saying, how do you live a fulfilling and wonderful life as a human that works as a software developer? That's like 90% generic to every single person, and 10% or even less than that because you're a developer. That's the thing. So I'm going to try to give you the like broad stroke it a little bit for you with a few rules that I follow, and I want you to know first and foremost that I am vastly underqualified to give any type of life advice on any of this sort of stuff. So if you're looking for, I don't know how these questions come up more and more now. I'm not sure. Am I projecting out somehow that I am some type of life guru or something? Because I swear I don't have a cult. I don't have it yet, but I'm looking into some properties. So if you want to wear a really, really shit set of overalls and come and work for me for free while you live in a commune there, we can probably set something like that up. But right now, at the very least, I'm not a cult leader. So take this for what it is. I'm just gonna give you what I do, and it's for me it's been working very well. So I will argue to you that the first and foremost thing that you need in order to live a healthy and fulfilling life is that you need to seek completeness, as I like to call it. And what I mean by completeness is basically that each and every one of you, you already know, I think, on some level, that you're not perfect and you're probably never going to be perfect. But that's okay, because the thing that is fun about existing or existence itself is that it is limiting in some fashion. If you were not limited in any way, then you would be the universe. And so trying to bridge your own limitations and feel like, as a lot of people probably have told you before, all of us have a hole in our chest, a hole in our heart. We have needs and desires and dreams and wishes and fears and all that stuff. And the end goal for a lot of us is to just not to just feel at peace. And trying to be perfect or trying to work towards perfecting yourself or being a more well-rounded person is the surest way for you to reach that state. And we do it everybody does it in their own way. Some people go, I mean, they try to fill the hole by getting really fit, or some try to become famous, and some go to like a monastery somewhere and find God, or like there's so many ways to try to be at peace within yourself. And the only thing that I truly believe in is that journey to try to find inner peace is it's the healthiest thing that you can pursue. And as I said, you're never going to be perfect, but trying to become perfect, even though you know you're going to fail, is probably the most stable way for you to get to be as perfect as you could possibly be. And as I said, each of us have things we desire, and working on making yourself stronger and a more complete person, that is the thing that is going to give you inner peace. And here's the kicker: when you achieve some type of inner peace, you're most likely going to come to an insight. And that insight is that the need for things to change or things to be a little bit unknown, well, that is the thing that makes your life worth living. Because if you knew, like, I have a saying that I use where I say that if I could perfectly at every moment predict everything about my entire life, I would kill myself, because then there would be no reason for me to continue living, because I know how everything is going to turn out. And that's that unknown thing. Even though it's a little bit scary, it is the thing that you need in order to make the whole thing interesting. And because without anything that is unknown to you, life becomes really, really dull and boring. Another thing, have you ever played like one of those Sims games, or like building games where you create the city, and in the beginning everything's fun and engaging because you're so limited and you try to like optimize resources and so forth. And at some point you create something that is so fucking perfect, it just works flawlessly, that it doesn't even need you anymore. You don't have to do anything. It's just kind of like a clock. It just keeps on going. And then after a while of staring at it, you start to realize that this is really boring. Because there's no need for you to be involved. It's just working all the time. So now you need to go and find something else. And that is the thing that I find very interesting. That's an insight that I had myself, which was that when you have nothing, when you start from nothing, or you're trying to build up experience or try to achieve that inner peace, you're too focused on the fact that you're afraid of failure and you're afraid of this and that to really realize that you're actually enjoying yourself. And when you reach inner peace, I think that the most important insight that you can have is that you realize that now you have reached a point where you kind of understand how the game is played. And the trick, now the decision is, are you going to get to be one of those people who are afraid to lose all the things that you have acquired, or are you going to realize that the game needs to continue to be played that way? So the trick, I argue, is to get to a point where you're not afraid of what's going to happen next. You are in a state where you feel prepared to deal with whatever is going to happen next. And if we're going to tie that into being a software developer, I will argue that it's basically the next best thing to knowing what the future will have. Not knowing what the future is going to bring, sure, that is scary. But the next best thing is to know that it doesn't really matter what happens, because I'm going to be able to deal with it. And as a software developer, that can be anything from, well, you know how to run your own business, or you have confidence in your skills, or as a human being, it's like you feel good about yourself. You have a healthy body, or you have saved some money, so you know that if your boss behaves like a dick for a day or two, you can tell that person to fuck off and go and do something else. That stability, or that sensation of being able to deal with whatever is going to happen, that is something that will bring inner peace. But as I said, that's not, because if you just have inner peace, things get really boring. You have to continue the game. But building up that strength, that is the thing that I think that is going to give you the healthiest life that you can have. And that works on so many levels. It's everything from mental things to physical things. We can't cover all of that. The second thing I think that you should consider as well, and this is a very personal one that I use, which is that nothing you do matters. So you can make your own rules. And what I mean by nothing what you do matters doesn't mean that you can do whatever, that you can just, I think that you should be a good person in general. I'm just saying that the only one limiting what your life is about is you. And the only thing that is limiting is basically, can you do this thing or can't you do this thing? That's the only rule. The only rule is there is what you can do and there is what you can't do. And who you are and what you are about, that's something that you decide completely alone. And the only thing that really should affect what you decide that your life is about, the things that you spend your time on, is whether or not you can live with the consequences of those actions. If you want to if you don't want to program every single moment of your life, you are free to do so. As long as you can fulfill the requirements, that doesn't matter. You don't have to compete with every single other person. As long as you can live with the outcome of those choices. It's the same thing as if you love junk food, then fucking eat junk food. As long as you are open to the idea that at some point that might come back and bite you in the ass. Just as a person who exercises all the time is going to have to accept that, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to see your friends as much. There's no wrong choice here. Just make up your own rules. And let the people who judge you for it, let them have that thing. Because if you've been doing number one right, you should have the personal strength to deal with it. And I argue that with enough inner strength, you can be whoever you want to be, and basically you can do almost anything. So what I want you to take away from this is that having a healthy life is something that I cannot possibly answer in one video, and I'm not qualified to do it in actuality. It would have to be someone else than me, I think. But the rules that I follow is number one, seek completeness, and that basically means figure out, do some self-reflection, and think about what are your values, what do you care about, and how can you get yourself to an emotional state where you feel inner peace, and then keep your life exciting enough so that it's worth continuing. And that is the trick. The trick is to get to a point where it doesn't really matter what happens next. You're excited to see what's going to happen next, but you know you're going to be able to deal with it. That's the difference between being afraid of the future and being excited about the future. And then secondly, nothing you do matters. I promise you, most people don't give a shit about what you do, and in 1,000 years nobody's going to remember your name. In 1,000,000 years, 10 million years, 100 million years, how long are you going to be afraid of that the thing you're going to do today is going to have some long spanning effect? At some point you just get silly. History doesn't remember. History remembers a very select few, and history has a really shitty memory in many cases. So make up your own rules. What is your life about? What makes you happy? And the only thing you should be afraid of is, all right, what are the consequences of the choices and the actions that you make? Make them for yourself and make sure that you can live with the consequences. And sometimes those consequences are going to be very good things, and sometimes they're going to be bad things. It's going to be a mixed bag. And with enough inner strength, I promise you, you can basically do anything and be fine with any outcome. Have a great day.